How you doing? I'm Daniel Moznett with Cowboy Charcoal, and we have got a sweet one for you today. We are talking holiday desserts, and what is Thanksgiving without a great dessert? Thursday, right? So let's talk about desserts. Most people have your pumpkin pies, apple pies, pecan pies, all of those things. One of the easiest things that you can make is a bread pudding. And today we're going to show you how to do a simple bread pudding on the grill with a Maker's Mark cream that just gets drizzled right over the top of it as you're about ready to serve. So anything with Maker's Mark or a good type of whiskey or bourbon is probably good for your dinner table. So let's show you really quickly what we're going to do. We've got some brioche bread. You can find brioche bread at any retailer, or just get your favorite bread, whatever you like specifically. We're just going to cut it in little pieces. See right here, just nice little pieces. Just let it sit on the counter overnight so it gets a little bit hard and a little bit stale. You don't want to do this with fresh bread that's not a little bit stale, because it's just going to get soggy and mushy and you're not going to have a good experience with your dessert. So this one, just cut it, slice it, or get one that's already sliced and leave it out so it gets nice and crispy. We're going to take our bread. To the bread, we're going to add a mixture of eggs, heavy cream, which you could use half and half. I guess you could use whole milk, whatever, but it's the holidays, so use heavy cream. 2020's been crazy enough as it is, so allow yourself some indulgences. This is one of them. So we're gonna add heavy cream, just a little bit of sugar, not too much. We have a little bit of ground nutmeg, we've got some ground cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla bourbon. You could just use regular vanilla if you want, but I like mine that's steeped in a little bit of bourbon. And we also have some chocolate chips that we'll add to this mixture. Now for the chocolate chips and the additives, you can add raisins, you could add dried apricots, you could add any of the dried fruits that you like. Today we're just going to use chocolate chips because that's what my son likes. So that's where we're going to stay. So to get things started, I like to take a little bit of butter before we get going and just coat my cast iron. Now you want to make sure you use a cast iron or other oven safe. You can do this in the oven if you like. I like to do it out here on the grill while we're cooking, but use an oven safe type. You could use a Pyrex. You could do this in a Pyrex type dish. But I think making it and serving it in a cast iron just is a little bit better, and it looks neater, it looks a little bit more authentic. People say, oh, you're cooking in cast iron, isn't that great? You'll impress your family and friends that come over to try some. So you're just gonna coat the inside, so just like that, right? And then to that, we're gonna add just a little dash of heavy cream. And that's a dash. Right about a quart or so. So we've got a dash of heavy cream. To help the eggs mix a little easier, we'll add just a little bit in there as well. And then we'll get these nice and whisked up. You want to make sure they're all whisked so you don't have any part in your pudding that has more yolk than the other. So make sure these are whisked up nice and smooth. All the yolks are nice and broken. You can see that there. We're almost there. That cream really kind of helps to thicken it up a little bit. And once that's done, we'll add that right to our baking dish. Add that right there. Okay. Keep that mixed up. We'll add, just like the heavy cream, we'll add a dash of sugar. Make sure we're mixed up. Okay, now to this, we're gonna add some of our flavorings, right? We'll add our cinnamon, nutmeg, and a couple of teaspoons of bourbon vanilla, and get that. Boy, that smells good. We haven't even gotten started. Now this is the base to so many different types of things, but today we're gonna make sure that we just keep it for our bread pudding. See it? See that? It's nice and thick. You can see that we've got all of our seasonings are well incorporated all the way through. Okay, now we're gonna add our bread. There. Add our bread. And you're probably looking and saying, well, we haven't added any chocolate chips. We're gonna layer those all the way through. We're gonna stir this up to make sure that everything is well coated, but we're gonna layer our chocolate chips, just so we make sure that you get some chocolate in every bite. Okay, I don't wanna overflow the pot, and we have to make sure that we can incorporate it. So we may add those in a minute, but we'll see. So now we'll just gently, very gently, we'll just toss to coat, okay? You're gonna want once you toss all of this, you're gonna wanna let it sit so that all the bread has a chance to absorb all of that liquid. Okay, we're getting there. There we go. You can see this start to incorporate nicely. When you see all of the bread is nice and coated, that's when you know that you're just about there. But we're folding. We're not mixing really hard. We're not swirling around. We're just folding all of this in. Okay, maybe we might need just a little bit more cream, just a dash more. There we go. Now, we are going to make a Maker's Mark whiskey glaze, but we're also going to add about 1/4 cup right to the pot. And if I had a glass, I'd add about 1/2 glass to myself, but we'll get to that later. Okay, so that's what we're gonna look like right on the top. We've got a few more chocolate chips to add, so we'll just sprinkle those right over the top. And then now we're ready to go. So let's check our fire. We're gonna head over to the grill and make sure that our fire is ready to go, because this is gonna cook for about an hour. We're cooking over oak and hickory lump. We're not adding a lot of wood chunks or wood chips to this particular recipe because we don't want a lot of that smoky flavor. The cream and the eggs and the bread will really absorb a lot of that smoke very quickly. So right now we just want some of the natural flavors from the oak and hickory charcoal to get into our dish. We're not really looking for a lot of smoke flavor at this point. So I've had this charcoal burning for about 35 minutes or so. We've got a nice heat. We're probably at about 350 degrees, which is exactly where we want to be. We're going to cook this at 350 for 1 hour. The first 30 minutes, we're going to cook it nice and covered. The second 30 minutes, we're going to take a look at it, and we'll probably take the cover off so we can get that nice hard crust on the top, which is signature of a bread pudding. So right now we're coming up to temperature here, not too fast, so you know we're right at about 350. And there we go. So this is going to go right on the grill. Cover the top, set it right in the center, and then we're going to shut this down for about 30 minutes. All right, so we've been cooking here for about an hour, and let's check in and see where we are. Nice. We took our lid off about half an hour ago, and you can see that bread pudding. It's hot, sure is. Our chocolate chips are starting to melt. It's kind of reduced down a little bit. Most of that cream has absorbed into that bread. It's a little wiggly, looking perfect. Now we're gonna make our Maker's Mark little cream to go right on the top. So we've got our pan. Bring this out here, show you how we do it. So we're gonna add 1 stick of butter. Pan is hot. We got 1 room temperature stick of butter. Melt that in. And then to that, we're gonna add about 1 cup of sugar. We'll just mix all of that in together. And don't worry about looking at all the specific ingredients. just go to cowboycharcoal.com. We've got all the ingredients down there for you, so you can print this out and make this for your holiday meal. Once you get your sugar relatively well dissolved into your butter, we're gonna add just a touch of liquid. I'm gonna use Maker's Mark, so just a little bit. Don't add too much. There you go, about a cup. So you want equal parts to your sugar and your liquid. Now, if you don't want to use Maker's Mark, which whiskey is always good for you, you can use water. That's no problem as well. So once you get that incorporated, we're gonna just put this back on the grill, and we're gonna let that reduce. Gonna let it dissolve so we're nice and incorporated. It's gonna take a little while to cook, but this is gonna be that fantastic sauce flavor that you're just gonna pour right over the top of your bread pudding. And the nice thing about making a sauce like this is that you can use this over all of the different desserts that you have on your dessert table. So if you got your pecan pie out there, you can use it there. If you've got pumpkin pie or any of the other cakes, apple pie, you can use this on anything that's out there. Okay, we'll let that reduce, and we'll bring our bread pudding out. So like we said, about a half an hour or so, you're gonna let this cook for about an hour at 350. The last half hour, we're gonna take the top off, and you can see we're nice and crusty right on the top. That's what taking that lid off is gonna do. So first half hour, you want all of that to cook. Last half hour, you're gonna want it uncovered. Show you what we look like here. See if I can resist having a bite before we put our cream. Look at that, right there. That's looking pretty good. Okay, I'm not gonna take a bite of it. I'm gonna wait till we get our cream. Well, maybe just a little. Oh man, that's so good. You get all that cinnamon, all of the nutmeg, the vanilla, that bourbon vanilla that we used. You really taste that all the way through. You're getting a lot of that Maker's Mark, that whiskey that we put right in there as well. Excellent. And we're just waiting for this to continue to boil. You just want to make sure you keep stirring it all the way through so you don't burn. You've got the sugar in there, so if it gets too hot, you may burn a little bit. Just make sure you keep stirring it all the way through. And while you're stirring it, you can feel the sugar start to dissolve. You can feel less granules in there. Once you feel all those granules go away and this starts to boil, you know you're about done. Now we're starting to bubble here a little bit. So we'll just let that come to a boil and then reduce a little. Now for this, with your Cowboy oak and hickory lump, you're gonna wanna start out on this type of a fire. You're gonna wanna start out for an hour at 350 degrees with somewhere between 3 and 5 pounds of charcoal. You can probably get away with a 4 pound, which is about 2 uses out of your 8-pound bag. But what you'll find is you'll have a lot of heat left over for quite a long time. So this is something that you could put on after you've cooked your main meal. This is something that you could cook in conjunction with a tri-tip or some flank steak, something like that. But you'll want to use about 4 pounds or so of lump charcoal. All right, we're getting some nice small bubbles here. That means we're just about done. We've reduced this by about a third, and that's about as far as I'm going to take it today. So let's bring this back out. And this will thicken as you cool it. So you can let this cool for about 10 minutes or so. You can see we're still bubbling with some of the nice small bubbles. And that's it. That's the whole recipe. It was really simple. All we did is we added our bread, eggs, cream. Use the cream. Make sure you use the cream. We added our Maker's Mark, vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, mixed all of that together. We put it in our pan. We folded it. Make sure you don't mix it. You fold it. We added some of our chocolate chips. You don't have to add chocolate chips. You can use any of the dried fruits that you like. And then to top it all off, we're going to add our Maker's Mark, cream, our Maker's Mark little sauce right over the top. Ooh, that looks good. And we are going to dig in. There's my little cheap bite I already had. Oh man, that's good. That's really good. That Maker's Mark, it really dies down once you start cooking through it. Okay, I need to taste it again so I can tell you exactly what it tastes like, because man, it was really good. That's the holidays. That tastes exactly like the holidays. All of that cinnamon and nutmeg in there tastes fantastic. Do this one, guys. It's going to be a holiday favorite, I guarantee it. This recipe can be found at cowboycharcoal.com. We've got a lot of great content on Cowboy Pitmasters Facebook group, a lot of fantastic community out there with people sharing great recipes from across the country and great information about how to cook with Cowboy Charcoal and things that they're doing every day. I'm Daniel Moznett with Cowboy Charcoal. I'm going to dig in for another piece. This tastes so good. This is going to be one of your absolute favorites. Enjoy. Happy holidays, everybody.